to do?
Everybody's got work to do, absolutely.
Chief Puente.
I'd probably also agree, either a high C, B, probably a B average. I think we're doing a lot of great things, but there's areas of improvement that we can continue to look at.
And Officer Richardson, you're out there at the school at Benson. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say a B is pretty good. I think things are definitely improving. I mean, everybody's really motivated right now to make things better. So,
Chief Puente, you were telling me you got a lot of calls from parents after the Parkland shooting. What is the message you're hearing from parents?
I think the consistent message that we have received from parents is the doubt is, are we doing enough? Which tells me a couple of things. It tells me that many of our parents, and not just in Oregon but around the country, maybe not as informed as to what protocols school districts really have in place. And it's really encouraged our district to look at our communication with our parents to encourage more involvement. There's an old proverb that says people perish for lack of knowledge, and I think that's one of the things that we've encountered is just a lack of knowledge or understanding of what the protocols are in place from a school district, from a law enforcement perspective. And so I think that's been the biggest message we've been getting from parents overall, and so we've just been working on opening our communication to have understanding in our response in regards to a crisis situation.
For example, do parents know some of the safety procedures, the things that they need to do?
Yes, we in our district have continuously reached out to our what we call PTOs, so it would be our parent groups, our parent clubs, to inform them of what our standard response protocols, or as we know as SRPs, what our expectations are for reunifications when you have such like as in Reynolds and the reunification that took place there. There's a lot of pieces that go into play with a tragedy of such, and so it's important for the parents to know their role. Law enforcement knows their role. School districts are learning their role in a crisis situation.
And parents need to check in too, right, when they go to the schools.
Oh,
do all the parents know that?
Yes, and that was one of the things is we encourage parents that we do have protocols in place, and so now we just encourage parents follow those protocols. You are a huge part of our school safety, and we know that their kids are in school, so sometimes you feel like you're part owner of that school per se, but it's still, we encourage our parents that to come be a part of our school, but follow the policies and procedures we have in place for our safety.
Officer Richardson, what are you hearing from students? Do they feel safe?
I think everybody's scared right now. Things are a lot different, I think, when I started at the beginning of the year, just because of how often this is on the news and kids are looking at this. Things like a threat on a school wall used to be something that I think people would overlook, and now it's something that everybody's taking really serious. Yeah, I think everybody's scared, and rightfully so.
Well, we had some students that came here, as I mentioned, to our town hall last week, and I asked them, do you feel safe? So let's listen to what a couple of them had to say.
I mean, it's a constant kind of fear that anyone could just walk in, especially at my high school in downtown Portland. All our doors are unlocked. Anyone can walk in the front door, and it's just a constant fear that anyone who has any anger towards us or anything at all that wants to come harm us can, and they have that ability.
Well, I'm very thankful because our school has 2 school resource officers that are there full time, and they've taken a lot of work to make sure that they've made a personal relationship with us. Even though there's 2,000 students, it feels like you can just go up to them and talk to them, and just knowing that they're there at the school ready for whatever is going to come in, it makes me feel a lot safer.
And that student was from Oregon City. The student before that was from Lincoln. Do you have a response to what they're thinking, Captain Wendland?
Yeah, I understand the fear. That fear, especially in the schools. However, these kinds of attacks happen everywhere. And so one of the things when I talk to community groups, I was just teaching at the Beaverton Citizens Academy last night, and one of the things I told them there was, everywhere you go, you should be aware of your surroundings. You should be aware of where the exits are. You should have a plan to protect yourself, and everybody needs to start taking responsibility for their own protection. Scary, I get it, but we're living in a world where these things happen more and more frequently, and the sooner that people turn the tables on these people who are out there creating these acts of hate and terror, the faster they'll be over.
How do we do that?
Well, I think for one, we got to get over this culture of it's never okay to touch somebody. It's never okay to hit somebody. There is a time and place when you need to hit somebody. I can tell you, I've been in law enforcement for 21 years. I don't like going out and having to hurt people. But at times, when they're trying to hurt you or somebody else, you have to defend yourself or somebody else.
How does that go over with students and parents when they hear that message?
It's a mix. You know, I have some teachers who are like, "Oh my gosh, we can't do that." I just think we need to be teaching it in the right way. We need to teach when it's the right time and the right place. I think we've gone too far the other direction, where we have created a world of sheep instead of sheepdogs, and we should be aiming for sheepdogs. Law enforcement kind of considers themselves to be of the sheepdogs, where they have a little bit of wolf in them so they can deal with the wolf, but yet they're gentle enough to mingle with the sheep. I know I raised my children to be sheepdog. I know my wife's a sheepdog.
Do you both agree with that?
Well, yeah, there's definitely truth to that. I think the accountability is a huge piece with the culture of today in society. I've worked with youth for the last 15 years as a school resource officer, and then now in my current position. And there has been a lack of accountability with a lot of our youth, knowing that there are consequences for decisions and choices that we make. And that's part of the piece of an old proverb that says, if you train a child early, and if you train a child, that means we have to start young. Again, we put that, I put the onus back on a lot of our parents. The family structure in America today has to get back to the instruction of our children, teaching them respect and responsibilities, accountability, because as they grow old, that stays with you. And so to me, that's been huge, especially dealing with our parent groups in our school community.
Officer Richardson, you talked about threats being on the walls. What happens when you hear a threat? Somebody comes to you about a threat. What's the process?
Well, there's a variety of different things we do. I mean, sometimes it's an old threat. Sometimes it may be something specific that they had kind of heard rumors about before. So we're going to do our own investigation, and maybe we recognize whose handwriting it is because this person has made similar type threats. We're going to do an investigation on it, and we're going to let everybody know immediately if we feel like there's any type of legit threat in it.
What's your day like as a school resource officer? What do you carry? You carry a gun. What else do you carry?
I do, yeah. I wear this. School resource officers, we only have 11 in Portland. We've got just under 200 schools and just under 100,000 students.
And you also patrol too. You're not a full-time school resource officer.
Yeah, because of the staffing shortage that we have in Portland, 25% of our time is working regular patrol shifts. And so we're tasked with working a lot of different schools. I mean, some days you're in charge of 30 schools that day. And so we have a cell phone, and we get a page every time a school-related call comes out. And that could be something like there's a stolen car parked on the property. It could be if there was an accident in front of the school and the school called it in. We go respond to all those schools just like a patrol officer would. We go there, we take a report on it. And so we are the ones that are tasked with dealing with the schools. And the reason for that is that we have relationships with school administrators. We have relationships if it is a student or a teacher that's been victimized. We have that relationship there. So it's a whole lot busier than I thought that it was going to be. I was hoping that I was going to be playing dodgeball with kids all day long is what I'd hoped for. And it's extremely busy. I mean, I'm busy from start to finish. The day that I come in when I come in the morning, I'm responding to emails and phone calls. I try to go to my office in the morning. I have an office at Benson High School. And I have an open door policy. I try to encourage kids to come in with ring pops and airheads and just sit down and talk to me. But usually the afternoon kind of kicks off and there's a lot of calls. So I try to be there as much as I could. I wish I was there a whole lot more. I love having positive relationships and experiences with the kids. So.
Well, we have had our own shooting here that you were involved with, Captain Winland, in the response at Reynolds High School on June 10th, 2014. 15-year-old Jared Padgett shot and killed 14-year-old Emilio Hoffman and injured a PE teacher, Todd Rispler. The school resource officers there, Captain, played a key role. Can you tell us about that?
They absolutely did. We believe, due to the fact that there were 2 resource officers on campus that day, and the fact that their police cars were parked right out in front of the building where the shooting occurred, is part of what must have been weighing on the shooter's mind at the time. They were able to respond once the BOEC or our dispatch call came out. They were literally able to respond to that building within 10, 15 seconds versus our